Hi, in this video we're going to show you a free app you could use to help you find the large files and folders on your computer, and you could also use it to do searches for files and then also do searches within files, or some types of files I should say, as well as look for duplicate files. Alright, so it's called Size Trend Free, and you could get it from the Microsoft Store. So just do a search for Size Trend Free Disk Space Finder, look for this icon, look for this developer. Click on Get or Install, depending on what your button says, and then you'll have it in your Start menu here, along with your other apps, and maybe even on your desktop. All right, so let's open it up. All right, so we have three different tabs here. We have our Scan tab, which will help you search for large files, and what you might want to do if you're going to be searching your whole C drive is to restart it as administrator, so that way you won't have any permission errors trying to scan through certain folders. So let's go ahead and do that. So of course you'll have to be an administrator to run it as administrator. So we'll say yes to the UAC prompt. All right, so we have our scan section here, our search section here, and then some tools. So this is not super useful. This will just open up the Windows settings to your installed apps. This here will actually open up programs and features in Control Panel, and then this will run the old disk cleanup tool. All right, so let's just do a scan here. Let's scan the whole C drive to start with. So you can see we have this kind of status bar showing you the larger folders here. So the C drive obviously is going to be the largest one because that's the root folder here. And of course that's going to be 100% of the parent, even though it's not 100% full. All right, then we have our Windows folder here. You can see our size and our allocated size, how many files, how many folders. And this is about 50% of the parent. Date was created, date modified, accessed, type, and the path. And of course, you could shrink things up if you need more room on the screen here, so let's do that. All right, so let's say we want to look at our users folder to see why we have 18 gigs of files in there. So of course, you could just expand it like that. And then here we could see that Todd is using 18.4 out of 18.6 gigabytes. And then we have the Cindy account is only using 115 megabytes. So we could drill a little deeper here. And then we could see the documents folder is using 6.4 gigabytes out of 18, and then videos is 3.3 out of 18. And you can see the percent of the parent folder here as well, how many files and folders. Then we could drill in deeper here, and we could see we have this miscellaneous folder is using 6.3 of 6.4. And we can see why here we have a couple ISO files that are taking up all the space. And then we have some miscellaneous files here. So some of these programs will take the smaller files and then just kind of group them together like this into one place, kind of make it a little easier to manage by not showing them all in the list here. And then we have some other subfolders within the documents folder, and we can see the size there. All right, so let's go over these buttons at the top here. So if we just saw the scan button. If you want to stop it during the scan, you can press that. If you want to refresh the results, do that. If you want to mark selected files or folders as compressed, you want to make a zip file. If you want to delete permanently or just send to the recycle bin, you want to do some cleanup here, so this will empty the recycle bin. Or we could open the recycle bin, and then same for the temp folder. So if we want to look at our temp folder, for example, we can see everything in here. And then if we go through it and we realize everything's safe to delete, we could actually delete it from here. And then you could also do some filtering. All right, so let's say we go into our documents here, maybe these files. Let's say created in the past 7 days. So you can see this went down to 2 files here instead of however many files were there before. And then we could have modified in the past however many days. So if you save your current scan, you could open the scan and run any previously saved scans. So let's turn off this filter first of all here. And then we could apply some name filters. Right now you see it set the star dot star for include and exclude. So if you want to put like star.docx for Word documents, you could do that and just have it show the Word documents. And then this is a good one too. If you want to hide empty folders, you can see it kind of hid something on the bottom there. That way you don't have to worry about them being in your list because they're empty and you probably don't care about them. And then if you want to change your columns, you could come here and uncheck or add some additional column headers here. You could collapse everything if you want to have it all set back up to the default. All right, so that's how you would go through and look for your larger files. All right, let's check out the search tab here. All right, so you can see right now it's set to star.star. So let's go back into documents, for example, here. Let's set this to star.pdf, for example. And you can see it opens up a separate window looking inside the documents folder because that's what we have highlighted, and this shows all the PDF files here. Then you could right click on them, open in Windows Explorer, create shortcuts, cut, copy, paste, delete, check the properties. And you can actually filter in here as well. Let's clear that out. All right, then we have this find text. So this will find text within files, but it's not going to do it for every type of file. They got to be simple files like PDFs or text documents. I don't think it's going to work for Word documents or anything a little more complicated. So if we do files, which is one I was playing with before, all right, so you can see here, for some reason it finds these ISO files, I think, for no matter what I search for, so that's a weird little bug, but you can see we have 3 files here. So you can see this has the word files in it, so that's why it found that one, and then same for these other ones. So when you're doing the find text option here, make sure you're on the folder you want to search, because if you put it on the C drive here, it's going to scan everything and give you way more results than you need. And then you might also get something pop up for scanning your OneDrive. So it wants to download your files and scan them. So you could cancel out of that because you probably don't want to do that necessarily. So just be aware of that if you see that pop up. Okay, then we could do the find duplicates option here. So once again, make sure you have the folder selected you want to check in. So you can see here we have some duplicates, and it shows you the path and the size. So that was pretty quick as well. And then you have your options for your duplicates if you want to do the file names or sizes or even contents, assuming it could search within the contents, and even dates. All right, then we have this large files button here. So this, I noticed, seems to find other files besides large files. So I don't know how helpful that is. But you can sort by size once you do that. So we can see here are our ISO files once again. And then the next largest file is this PDF file down the line. All right, then we could also search for recent files. And you could sort by created here. So we have a few that were created yesterday. And down the list. And then if you click on that, this will show you your types of files within this folder. Once again, make sure you're in the folder. So you can see we have 2 ISO files and their size, 15 PDFs and their total size. And then you can expand each one and it'll show you the actual files themselves, and then it'll actually show you the folder path once you expand it. Like so. Right, then we saw the Tools tab, which was not super helpful. And if you want to maybe get some help or register the product, you could do that from here. All right, so as you can see, it's a pretty effective program. So it's nice to have the search feature and the duplicate files finder, which many of these disk analyzer programs do not have. All right, so once again, just go to the Microsoft Store, do a search for Size Trend, download it from there, and give it a shot. All right, thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe.